Shalom. Welcome to the Young Israel of Hillcrest. Medinat Yisrael, the state of Israel, is a young country, but it has been faced with innumerable challenges and difficulties during the course of its development. I'd like to focus for just a few minutes on one of those challenges that I think in many ways highlights the uniqueness of Medinat Yisrael, the state of Israel. In this week's Parsha, the Torah describes the fascinating scene where Bilam is on his way to curse the Jewish people on his donkey, and his way is obstructed by Malik Hashem. In fact, the pasuk, the verse says, Vayichar af Elokim ki holechu, that God was enraged that Bilam was going to try to curse the Jewish people. Vayisyatsev malach Hashem baderech, and an angel of God stood on the road, l'saton lo, to impede, to obstruct, to antagonize Bilam. V'urochev al asono. So the Midrash describes this Malach Hashem, because the term Malach Hashem has the connotation of something very positive, an angel of God. When we think about an angel of God, we think about somebody who's an angel. It's a very, very positive position and status. Yet the Torah describes that this angel of God was placed l'satan lo, to be like a satan, to be a satanic figure, to be an antagonist, which is contrary to the general role of Malach Hashem. So the Medrash describes the following. V'yichar af Elokim in Yalkut Shimoni, V'yichar af Elokim ki holechu, V'yisyatsev Malach Hashem. Malach shel rachamim haya. Says the Medrash that this angel was an angel of mercy, of compassion, of caring. Malach shel rachamim. V'lo naaseh satan. But to Bilam, his entire persona, his entire purpose, his entire essence changed and became more of a satan than a malach. V'kach omar leBilam, and the angel complains to Bilam and says, Goramta li, you caused me, says the malach shel rachmim, the angel of mercy, to Bilam, you caused me lishamesh umenut she'eno sheli, to utilize a craft, a disposition that isn't me. I'm supposed to be a malach of rachmim. I'm supposed to help. I'm supposed to be kind. I'm supposed to be benevolent. I'm supposed to be constructive. And because of you, God forced me, you forced me, to become evil, to become a satan, to impede you, to obstruct you, to bother you. As the Malach describes later, he says to Bilam, if I had a sword, I'd kill you and let the donkey live. So the angel is complaining that you have caused me to become something that I'm not. If we think about that concept for a moment, oftentimes in life, we are challenged with situations where we feel that we're forced, we're compelled to be people that we're really not, to act that is contrary to our basic ethic, our basic morality, our basic principle, that we really are kind and genuine people, but because of circumstances or because of what other people impose upon us or force upon us, we act in ways that are less than scrupulous, less than sensitive, less than rachamim. That's what the Malach says, that you made me from a Malach Hashem, from a Malach Shel Rachmim to a Satan. It's your fault. The truth of the matter is that the Parsha is designed to teach us that an angel is perhaps restricted in what he can control, but human beings are not. Constantly, Bilam describes going back and forth between Yaakov and Yisrael. Matovo Olecha Yaakov, Mishkanosecha Yisrael. Talks about Yaakov and Yisrael. If you think about Jacob was an individual who, if anything, should have been forced and imposed upon to become anything other than what he was. And if anything, he actually ascended to a higher role. When he confronted his angel, when he confronted that man with whom he wrestled, he actually rose to a higher status. He became a sarisa, he became a sar, he became more like a prince. So that Yaakov represents the fact that the Jewish people as a whole, and each of us individually, are faced with all kinds of myriads of challenges and difficulties, and it is our responsibility not to be like an angel whose actions are limited, who has limited capacity to maintain his status of Malik Hashem. We have the ability, in spite of what anyone else does to us, to not only maintain our values, but to actually rise to a higher level, from Yaakov to Yisrael. Man really can never excuse himself by saying, you caused me to become like this. You caused me to act this way. It's not what I really am. A person has the right and the ability and to resist that and to become Yisrael rather than to degenerate, but to grow and develop. I don't remember the exact quote from Golda Meir, the former prime minister many years ago, Aleh Shalom, who talked about how the thing that so angered her about the Arab-Israeli conflict is what they did to cause our soldiers to kill and to become killers. I don't recall the exact quote, but the truth of the matter is that if we look back at the history of Medinat Yisrael, the truth is that while forces beyond our control have caused us to engage in military campaigns, one of the challenges to the Israeli army and to Medinat Yisrael, which the Israeli army and Medinat Yisrael has consistently risen to a higher level, perhaps not perfectly, which is perhaps beyond the realm of even a human being, but well beyond what a Malik Hashem. Medinat Yisrael and the Israeli Defense Forces have consistently, regularly tried to rise to a higher level, never to excuse themselves because of what the enemy did, to engage in internal investigations and allow external investigations to investigate what goes on, what was wrong, what was right, dropping leaflets from planes, warning civilian populations of impending bombings, knowing that the terrorists routinely camouflage and hide amongst civilians. That's something that the Jewish people in Israel should be proud of, that with whatever imperfections we may still have and are developing the ability to overcome, the ability to rise to a level of Sarisa Milakim, to be Yisrael, not to say and to excuse ourselves as a nation, Atagaramtali, you caused me to abandon my ways as a Jew and to be compassionate and to become a Satan. The Israeli army has never become satanic. It's always been of Rachamim. And the Medinat Yisrael is a state, a Medina of Rachamim. And therefore, that's one of the proud, I think, accomplishments of the Medina over the many years, and something that is still continues to be a challenge that needs to be addressed and to be focused upon and to endeavor to become even better in that realm. And that's, I think, the message of Yaakov and Yisrael, a Malach, perhaps can never be always Malik Hashem Rachmim, to become a Satan. Man has the ability, and that's what Bilam recognized, that Matovu Alecha Yaakov Mishkanosach Yisrael, that you have the ability, no matter what is thrown at you, to not only maintain your integrity as Yaakov, but to actually come and rise to a higher level of Yisrael. Shabbat Shalom.